Mm. Hello, everybody, and welcome to GRL for another fantastic round here of Season 5. This week we head to the Styrian Mountains in the heart of Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix. This evening it will be hosted by myself, Ashley Denman, and alongside me this evening I have the wonderful, the magnificent Adam Reed. Hello, Adam, how are you doing? Yeah, it is, and yeah, as you can see, it is raining cats and dogs out there. And as Adam rightly said, we're about to get the sprint race started. It's a slightly different format for this evening. We will begin with a sprint race, and the grid has been determined with a reverse championship order just to spice things up a little bit to get us underway here. And then after that, it will be a bit of a little, well, it'll be a little bit awkward, I would say, maybe, as we will have to then retire before we go to the full Grand Prix, because they will need to reset the grid, as I believe, and I will double check it here, it will be the sprint race here that determines the starting grid for the full normal 50% classic race that we have here for you every Monday night. But yeah, we're just waiting then for everyone to be readied up with their setups, strategy in, and get going here under green conditions. But who's looking good here? Do you think tonight, Adam? Obviously, being that the normal front lot might be they will be at the back of the grid. Whoever's at the beginning of the championships, I think it's Delta at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, we are. We're still then waiting for those red lights to come on and get these cars giving it that full beans, as you said, Adam. Down to turn number one, braking zone to turn number one from pole position, 217 metres. So not a massively big bit of tarmac for them to get some moves done, but turn one can be a tricky, almost 90-degree right-hounder is the louder curve. So you will no doubt see some moves into it, but of course can get a bit tricky on the exit with that curb riding high, and we may see some cars bottoming out over it. But of course, it will be interesting to see what sort of strategy in terms of the car setup people have gone for. Of course, we've got this sprint race, so they can have a nice wet setup on. I would imagine a few maybe have tweaked their setup around to account for this drizzly rain that we're having. But then, of course, they should be able to change it when we get to the full race. And of course, we don't know what the weather conditions will be yet because they don't tell us. And that's just one of the fantastic things here about the F1 game that we have. We don't get the weather conditions all the way through. It would be nice to see them change that potentially, but for the moment we'll have to make do. Adam, what was your say chances for a safety car are? I've got the probability here down at 50%. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what, then we'll have to wait and see. You say that you're mentioning about the tyre strategy. We've actually got about a 50-50 split from the grid. A lot of them on those intermediate tyres, a lot of them on the wet. So it'll be an interesting race to see which tyre prevails as we go deeper into this Grand Prix. We're obviously unaware whether the rain will ease off or come down even harder. Obviously those on that intermediate tyre may be taking a bit of a risk here at the very beginning. But as we make our way down to turn number 4, they're going 2 by 2 pretty much from sort of about third downwards, tiptoeing their way into 5, now through the Rauch corner, 6 and 7 coming up, and they've settled back down a little bit, made a bit of a train of it once again. Couple of cars there getting a good getaway. Obviously we have got that splitted tyre, so we will see who will prevail, but it's looking pretty even so far. And obviously the lap times, as Kontz is making a move here into Rindt corner. Up the inside he goes of Dom in that McLaren, and he's made it stick. Kontz on the wet tyre, Dom on the intermediate, as Atom is out front and setting the pace of the field at the moment. He's made a little bit of a gap, just about half a second between him and Nardo, and then you have a bit of a jump back to Jordan for the time being. But it is a short track and the racing does get very close and intense. Now on the way up to the third corner for the third time. Will we see any late minute lunges potentially there from FGE? Jacob up the inside he goes of Jobbo. Delta trying to get in on the action. Delta having an absolute belter of a start. He started at the very back of this grid. I've just been actually, Adam here, I do apologise, I know we're mid-race, and I do want to point out very quickly here actually, a lot of the intermediate runners have actually found themselves in the bottom half of this field. So I think maybe the guys who decided to go for that wet compound of tyre absolutely have made the right choice. The ones that are trying to buck the trend though are BRT Jordan and Dom in his McLaren. They seem to be holding their own at this present moment in the race. 5 laps in and just nearly at the halfway point, I think Rob has tried to communicate with me, co-com audio. Adam, have you added your audio to the party? I think you do have to select the little option in there. I just want to make sure that you have done that. Otherwise, the good people on the other end of the stream. Yeah, I think maybe
go.
they are unable. Yeah, they've been unable to hear you thus far, and it's been a shame
dear.
because you've been
That's
adding some
unfortunate.
brilliant comms to this as well. So apologies everyone at home, but here is Adam. Obviously you haven't heard him at any point so far, but yeah, he is here and he is an absolute delight to talk to and be here in the box with myself. But yeah, we're just getting a little bit of a spread of field now as we go on to lap 6. Halfway mark coming up then, and I do wonder if the rain will ease up at all for those guys on the Inters. They must have chosen that tyre for a reason, and well, yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Adam. You can maybe say hi here just before I do.
Hello everybody and welcome
go on.
round 5 of the Ground Effect Racing League at the Austrian Grand Prix, and we currently look at this battle here for P7. It seems like Delta up the inside and a BRT Jobo out the Grand Prix, the sprint race. He drops now down and out of the pits here. So already some very difficult conditions we've had to negotiate around this circuit. Of course, Atom's doing very, very well. He's managed to spread that gap out to Nardo by 1.5 seconds. Nardo has been pushing because there is a penalty that has been tagged onto the Alfa Romeo. And then you've got the battle between Cons and JW Gibson. So it's going to be the top 8 making up the points. And Gibson has made contact with that AlphaTauri. So those two have come to collide. A little bit of a barge. And it does look like the Williams are going to start falling down the field, running on board with the Williams. He's just been overtaken here by Dylan Baxter. So Gibson has really been on the struggle bus. He's up in a really good position, but a little bit of a tap and he has gone round. But luckily he was able to continue. Meanwhile, I believe Cons has dropped all the way down to 15th. So he was maybe facing backwards at some point. But really unfortunate for both their race. But as I was saying, the top 8 will make the points here. So just on the tail end is going to be Dylan Baxter under pressure from that Williams. And look at the Mercedes of RM Beeford up the inside of Jacob. So really, really good maneuvers here. And as you were saying now, that looks like the intermediate compound tyres are starting to work their way up here. It might be because of that hit between the Williams and the AlphaTauri. But Jordan and Dom now find themselves up in 3rd and 4th on the intermediate tyres. Meanwhile, Delta, who is sighted at the back of this field, and we've kept reminding us, even whilst my microphone was not included in the audio, he has made his way up to 5th place. So really incredible job by the Aston Martin driver. And we think actually that the intermediates are just not quite working in the favour that they were hoping to do. It may be seeing if it starts drying up in the later stages, but at the moment in terms of weather watch, it doesn't look like they're doing that. So keep an eye on this battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, we will. I'm actually keeping my eye on ROM Beeford. He's made another move. He's up into P9 as Gibson there got it all wrong on the exit of turn 1, and he now makes his way forward up towards the rise of 3, and he'll go chasing after Dylan Baxter. I do think now maybe the rain has eased off a little bit, so we should start to see those intermediates being the favoured tyre, and maybe we'll see a couple of these guys fight their way back through the field because we have got a big spread of tyres once again. A lot of those intermediates, and as you said a moment ago, Jordan and Dom have found their way into 3rd and 4th. But I wonder, you know, the initial advantage that those wet tyres had, Atom proving that, along with Nardo and Delta of course being in that group as well, because they found their way up their field and pulled away very quickly to begin with. But now look at this, Sousa's going side by side with Delta. He's got the better grip now on that intermediate. I think it has swung the other way. He went round the outside into Rint Corner and he's taken P5 away from that Aston Martin, who looks to be struggling. There's a bit of a train now forming up behind him. Dylan Baxter going for a move on Tecubi into turn 1. Will he make it a double? Not this time for the moment, as Delta continues to be struggling. You've now actually got Beeford on the back of this train. This is not what Delta wants for that championship fight. He wants to try and pull away as much as he can. Dylan Baxter though goes up the inside of turn 3. Beeford is trying to follow him through. We're now going to have a drag race down to turn 4. Slosh Gold Corner. Who's going to be latest on the brakes though into the turn? tricky downhill right-hander, easy to lock a tyre and snag it up, and then before you know it, you could be off into the gravel trap as you run wide. B Ford getting incredibly raced. He's going to try and go up the inside of 5 and 6, sorry, into Rauch and then down towards 7. I think he's got the move done already. Yes, he has. That intermediate tyre now proving to be the tyre to be on. They've suffered at the beginning, but now watch them go. They seem to be flying at this moment.
And Dom has overtaken Nardo, so it does look like the intermediate tyres are the tyre choice. So it was kind of a bit of a painful run in the first half of this race, but they're really coming alive in the second race. It's kind of like being on a set of hard compound tyres. You're able to go that full length, but then in the first half against soft tyres, you're going to have a bit of a struggle. But when the soft tyres start disintegrating, of course, the hard tyres are going to come to life. So it's kind of like that, but in a wet form. Down the inside goes Sosa, up the inside of the hat, and he's now going to try and challenge the Alfa Romeo just ahead. They're going to make it 3 wide. Massive tank sapper from the Alfa Tauri to the left. Goes Jordan, he's on the grass. That's unbelievable. Contact between the two cars, and he's going to try and sail that around the outside. The sails are open on that Haas because he's floated it around, and it's up into P5. Nardo is dropping like an absolute stone through the field. He's now down to 6, and here is RM Beeford in the Mercedes. The Black Arrows is called in the 2023 season. Floated around the outside, and he's just helpless. Nardo has no defense in that Alfa Romeo. You can clearly see it right on your screens. What a tight battle we've had throughout this race, and it's incredible to see the dynamic of the tyres just changing in these latter stages, and we're really now starting to see it, the tyres come alive here. This is Delta down in P9 now, so it looks like Delta's starting to have a bit of a struggle. He's right on the tip of points here, but he just can't seem to get past Wells Jag because, of course, the intermediates, as we've been saying, is the better tyre. But against the faster driver up the inside, he's forced it whilst the brake bias is a little bit too far back, but he's just not been able to get that move. You can already see the Williams storming away with the better traction of those green walled tyres. It is unbelievable here in Austria.
Yeah, I've got Jordan back, so they're going side by side through turn 6, through Rauch and down towards Wirtz corner. They're still side by side. The Alpine, he's just pulled ahead into turn 7 and 8, and he's just about got ahead of BRT Jordan. They are absolutely giving it everything in the closing stages of this Grand Prix. The man I'm trying to keep the gap keep an eye on for the gap is Atom out front. That gap is obviously closing up every second, every tenth I should say. It's now 1.7. I believe at the beginning of last lap it was nearly 4 seconds. This could be Atom's lead. It will disintegrate, I'm sure, as we go round the lap. Look at that, 1.2 just through one turn. So keep an eye on it because he may lose the lead of this Grand Prix, but he's absolutely put in a stellar performance. He's just got to try and hang on now as best he can, as we've lost quite a lot of cars then from this sprint race at the moment. Just keeping an eye on board here with B Ford as he's trying to eye up a move now on Jordan himself. Down the straight towards turn 4. He's going to go up the inside. Is he just enough alongside? Not quite. Jordan cuts back across, and he's going to have to wait for another few corners. I don't know if there's going to be many more opportunities now for B4 to get ahead of Jordan here. He's going to give it his best, of course. The other thing I'm going to come back to, though, is Atom. He's still trying to hang on for the lead, but there goes Dom flying round the outside. He's got no grip left on those wet compound tyres. He could lose another position to Sousa. One corner to go then for Atom. Can he hold on? Up the inside goes Sousa. It's a drag to the line. Dom takes the win of the sprint. Sousa's going to just steal second away from Atom, who comes home in third. Baxter will be fourth, Jordan fifth, but B Ford unable to pass him in the closing stages. Welsh Jack now brings it home, and then Delta, Tech QB, Gibson, iMac, Nardo, and at the back is Blade of the finishers. And then of course we had the non-finishers as well, but that will set the grid up for the race to come, and we'll have a little bit of an odd period here in the middle. But Delta there getting driver of the day. Yeah, I think he did a very good job at the beginning. Just obviously couldn't hang on to that wet tyre. I think my driver of the day, well, my driver of that race, I think will actually go to Atom. He just was able to hold on so well, and he got a podium for it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of agree with you. They really built a really nice lead, but it just started to fade away. Fade away. We entered those latter section of the laps, and it really just got to a stage where those intermediate tires were the tire you needed to be on. And what an incredible finish to this race! And it really just set us up for an incredible main race. Of course, we're going to have 36 laps around this Red Bull Ring, and anything can happen, as you've just seen. So many things to just kind of talk about. The batting was absolutely sensational, scintillating stuff, in all honesty. But that's going to be the sprint race for now. It's time to move on to the main race.
Yeah, well, it will be, as I said before, it's going to have an odd transition period. It will jump into the race, but you'll see everybody retire, and that is part of the procedure now that we're going to go through, because they'll reset the grid to what it needs to be, and then we can get going for that magnificent 36 laps. As you said there, Adam, it's titillating to the senses. I've got goosebumps going on my skin here. It's brilliant. So yeah, no, we love to see action like this, of course. And I can't wait for these 36 lap. Austria is one of my favourite circuits for the racing it produces, not only to drive it, but for the fans as well. The many overtaking opportunities, turn 1, turn 3, 4 being the big favourites for the drivers. And it's going to give you a false start here. We won't really give you much over it, as you'll see everyone either spin it out, crash it, or retire like they should be doing. Absolutely.
I love this. You love this little bit. It's just everyone just having a bit of fun. Why not? Just before a big old race where 25 points is up for grabs. If you want 26 for the fastest lap.
Well, I know what's going to happen. Someone won't retire. It's going to be Jobbo here. He'll want to say that he was first, and I know he's going to do that, because that's something I would do as well.
Oh, there he goes. Just slammed it into the barrier.
You do love it to see it sometimes. But no, yeah, we'll get ready for the main event now, of course. But based on, well, I mean, it's hard to judge, especially if we get a dry race here, Adam. But based on the performance there of the sprint, who's your money on to sort of take the win here, do you think?
It's going to be a difficult one, because there's a lot of drivers that are in contention. If Delta can be on the right tyre and have the pace, he's definitely going to be one up there. I also think maybe FGE Atom is going to be up there as well. Of course, maybe with the Austrian flag, they'll maybe provide him a little bit of home luck, maybe a bit of home support. See all the red and the white all around the circuit. That'll be absolutely sensational. But there's some definitely superb drivers that you can really throw in the mix here for winning contention.
Yeah, you certainly can do. I am going to make an apology, because I believe I've made a boo-boo. The grid will not be set for by the sprint, because we do try to imitate real life. So instead, there will be a one-shot quali to determine the grid for the race. So it could still be a very interesting grid, because with only that one chance to get a lap in, if you make a mistake, if you run wide, run deep, or even, God forbid, invalidate your lap, you could find yourself starting way down the order, because it is the shortest track of the year. It is the fastest track of the year in terms of lap time. So qualifying tends to be incredibly close between all the drivers. So it will be interesting to see who can nail that one-shot qualifying. But again, we'll have to wait and see. We're just in the lobby here waiting to go back into the session itself. But yeah, I think that might then change your opinion of who might win here, Adam. Apologies. I wanted to make sure it was all corrected before we got going, though.
And don't worry about it, because of course I'm just seeing all the names down here in this lobby, and there are some very, very fast drivers that I commentated over the past last season and the season before that. But there's definitely a couple of drivers that you can really see their name, and honestly, they are so good. And it has been a while since I've commentated over these, but they're still as good, if not even better, the last time I left them. But for sure, Austria provides superb racing. I think that's going to be one of the things you should really look at. When you do see Austria on that calendar, you know it's going to provide really good racing. Whether that is Formula One, Formula Two, Formula Three, Porsches, um, or even league racing in virtual Formula One, it's going to provide that extra bit of pizzazz in this lap. But if you want, if you want, mate, you can go and take us around a lap of Austria once we get into this one-shot qualifying, because the characteristics of the second include a lot of elevation, a lot of long straights, a lot of tight corners, but also you have those fast corners, and the setup of the car is super important, because you've really got to make that balance, really got to make that beam balance when it
Yeah,
comes to setup.
yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. You're on the money, and I would be absolutely delighted to take us on a lap round here once we get in. And it is wet once again then for qualifying, so this could shake things up again. Of course, as you said earlier, it does neutralise the field because you don't get the added benefits of DRS. So this really does separate. I find the men from the boys, the heroes from the zeros, the champions from the non-champions. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how this grid lines up with this one shot. But I'll still take you on a lap around here nonetheless. As we wait for that clock to count down, everyone should have the setups already on. But I wonder, are we going to get another wet race then here at Austria? It can happen, of course. Yeah.
Three to three sessions, that would be mega interesting. But the clock is counting down, and go on, mate. Take on the lap here of the Red Bull Ring.
I'll tell you what, all right on board, yeah. We'll take it through with Welsh Jack, one of the championship leaders then, here into turn one, late on the brakes as he dares to try and clip that apex. Don't run it too wide over the exit corner, as you can bottom out the car and absolutely lose a ton of time on this important straight. On the rise, up the hill towards Amzag or Remus, turn three. Nice early apex there, clips it very well, and again, same problem as exit at turn one. Don't run it too wide, you can bottom out that car once again. Now the drag strip down to turn four. Schlosser's Gold, use as much entry curb as we're seeing Welsh Jack do on that left hand side. Get it nicely on the brakes, turn it in and hope it sticks on your way through five and then into six. All the exit curb as well as clipping the apex, and once again using all of the road available to you through seven, on the rise over of eight, and now you've got only two corners to go, but the most important on this circuit through Rint corner here. Very quick right hander in the dry, bit more of a slow one in the wet, and then the final corner, Red Bull Mobile it's called. And then that's a lap, as it's already done. I can't believe it. It goes by so quick in the dry and in the wet. Welsh Jack qualifies a very good fifth with that and all, so he'll be happy, I think, going into the race. And then I think, Adam, do you know what then? You can run us down the list for qualifying.
Blade is going to be on pole position in his house, ahead of the Portuguese driver Asuta, with Delta in P3. So that could be a mega for his chances. BRT Jordan in the other half, so starting first and fourth, with Welsh Jack in P5 and Chuby in P6. Then it can be JW Gibson Silverson, and then there's Corey and Jack Mack rounding out that top 10. Dylan Baxter will be on the 6th row of the grid alongside Nardo, with Rob Kelly and RM Beeford rounding off the 7th row of the grid. BRT Jobo and his teammate Dom will be in P15 and P16, with FGE Jacob in the Ferrari, and then Inverts in the Red Bull, FG Atom and Cons. And that is great. It's time to get to the Grand Effect Racing League Round 5 Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this as well. Here we are, dry session, the first one of the evening. And it is good that it's for the main race, I feel, because it is a brilliant track to race around. I always find it's a bit more exciting in the dry, as the drivers tend to close up a little bit more. It's easier to keep the racing close at hand. 3 minutes to go until we are readying up and we'll get those lights on to start this Grand Prix. Well, now that we do know the results of the one-shot qualifying here, Adam, who is your man then? Who are you betting on to take this victory away?
Well, if I was a betting man, I think Delta is definitely going to be one of the drivers up there. Of course, going from the back of the field, almost putting it into the top 10. He's very much deserving of a driver of his caliber that deserves to be in that top 3. It's going to be very, very interesting. But of course, I have seen that Blade is very good in qualifying, especially commentating over him in Formula 2 cars. He was an absolute weapon in that Ralph Boschon Campos, and I'm sure he's going to be an absolute weapon in that white and black Haas. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the approach down to turn 1, of course, 217 meters down towards turn number 1, and you kind of don't want to be on pole position here. 16 times has gone from pole to the win with a 43% percentage from in terms of that ratio. So very, very interesting to see. So I do want to put my money down there on Delta. I think that Aston Martin does have the pace. It's just all about how well he can perform in that dry session.
It is. He does have the pace indeed, as you say, and he is our current championship leader, 3 points ahead of Welsh Jack, who's just 2 spots behind him. So he'll be directly behind him on this start grid, hoping he can make potentially a better getaway than Delta and try and get that move done as early as possible to help in his championship fight. The man that is not up in that top sort of area, though, is B Ford, and I always say to Dara, when he's normally here in the commentary box with me, he's never really won for qualifying. He's always a bit of a race merchant. So he's currently down in 14th, actually, behind his teammate. But I wonder what he can do in race trim. And many a time I will say, Dara has always said that B4, you watch him, he'll win it, he'll do it, even though he's down 9th or 10th. And every time I'm sort of downplay it, yeah, I'm sure he will, I'm sure he'll do well. No, every time he proves me absolutely wrong and Dara absolutely right. So, no, B Ford's still a man not to be trifled with, even though he is down there in P14. But yeah, Delta, of course, good shout, but he has got a lot of competition up the front with him. You have got the likes of Blade, who is up incredibly early in the morning. I believe it's over in Japan, so he gets up nice and early to get these races underway for himself. So fair play to him and good on him. Sousa, though, not a man to be trifled with either, and you have got the likes of Welsh Jack also fighting for that championship. Sivitson, he's in 8th position, he's not even out of this yet, so it'll be interesting to see as we get ready to go under green conditions. It is 8 past on my screen here, so I would imagine any moment now we should get going under these green flag conditions and we'll get the Austrian Grand Prix underway. There they are, the lights are on, there's 4, there is 5, that Haas on the left, the AlphaTauri on the right, and they are underway for the Austrian Grand Prix here this evening. Good getaway there from Sousa. He'll take the lead into turn 1 away from Blade. Blade's going to try and get the cutback though, as that is one of the Alfa Romeos. Tecupi having a little bit of trouble on the exit of turn 1. Blade not going to give this up. He's going to go to the outside line. Sousa's going to try and defend it late on the brakes. Tries to cover it off, but Blade's done the up and under. Can Delta follow him through? Sousa's made a little bit of an error there, trying to defend it so hard this early on. Delta's now going to have a chance down towards turn number 4. He's got that inside line. Can he get his car in there and potentially make the pass? No, he can't. Sousa holds out for the moment. Now Jordan's going to try and make a move up on Delta. Into turn number 6 he goes. He's got that inside line. He's got the move done. Can Delta fight it back? No, he cannot for the time being. Jordan then going to get the best start there, as well as Blade. Really, he got it back from Sousa after a magnificent getaway from the line. Looking further down the grid, Gibson, I believe, has had a good start. Corey also up a few positions there. B Ford ahead of his teammate Rob Kelly, but he is still only down in 13th, so he's got a bit of a challenge ahead of him as he tries to pick off the positions as he moves further into this Grand Prix.
It's a very hectic start there. It was fantastic there from Sousa off the line to try and get past that Haas, but he just outbroke himself into Remus' corner, which is here, and unfortunately the Haas did get past him on his side. Up the inside there goes Dylan Baxter on those medium compound tyres. So he's going pretty fast. He's going very aggressive in the early stages here as he powers his way past the Ferrari of Silverson, the Norwegian there, according to his F123 nationality, the Alpine. So the Ferrari just having to concede position there, but some really top stuff already in this field. We're only halfway through lap 2. They follow their way and make their way through Verth corner on towards turn 8. These drivers are currently just following in line at this moment in time. They're not willing to just pop out just yet and make those moves. They're going to just get themselves into a rhythm, feel temperature in those hard compound tires, which it does seem like a lot of these drivers are on those C3 compounded tire. And it's going to be concentrating the pace here with a 1 minute 6.797. So all the way down there in P13. But he is on the C5 soft tyres. So he's going to try and power his way through the field and then try and take the brunt of the strategy later on. The two Williams getting very close there are Welsh Jack and J.W. Gibson. So those are beautiful blue cars heading now down towards Schloss Gold. On the brakes they go. And they're just trying to catch up with this top 4 pack of Blade, Sousa, Jordan, Delta, all just in a line here of in a pack of 4, a quartet, just trying to make their way around and see if they can build any advantage. At the moment, they're probably just checking each other out, seeing how they approach this circuit, what they do to gain an advantage, what they do that is kind of affecting them their lap, and can you take advantage of that? If somebody's going too aggressive in towards turn number 1 using too much curb, can you take an advantage of that? Well, somebody's going to take advantage of Nardo here because he's now got a 3-second time penalty, and with the other pack now very bunched up, that's going to be a little bit costly. You can see that if you have a look on your mini map, just these cars are still in a line, and already a move here. Here goes Sosa, the Portuguese driver, looking around the outside of the hat, but can he do it? Not just yet, but with the DRS now enabled, he'll try and now power it on board with the navy blue and white Orlen sponsored AlphaTauri. Looks to the inside there down into Schloss Gold, but decides to back off. Someone who's not backing off there, it's Welsh Jack. He has managed to try and pull his way up to 4th.
He certainly is. He's now going to go side by side with Delta through 6, and I'm sure they'll still be side by side through 7, dashing it down. There they go through the corner. Yep, they haven't given it up, either of them. Still side by side they go. This is going to be crucial for them. Rint corner coming up. Who's going to have it latest on the brakes? It's going to be Delta. Welsh Jack just dropping in behind. I think he knows, he realises he's got a wise head on those shoulders. He knows that fighting too much this early on, if you lose that DRS, you're absolutely a sitting duck and your race is good as toast. Oh, there's a big incident. Who's that? There's about 5 or 6 cars involved. I can't tell what's going on. There's too many round. What's happened there, Rory? Safety car. VSC then. Okay. VSC. Yeah. VSC. Corey's up into 2nd place. Gibson 3rd. Jack Imac. I don't know how he's managed it, but he's up into 4th. And I believe that was a big tumble from a lot of the main guys here. Welsh Jack sitting in 6th for the moment. B Ford's found his way into 10th. And I think, well, Sousa's now down in 12th. I'm assuming Delta also caught up in that. Yes, 19th he is. Jobbo down there with him to keep him company. BRT Jordan, yeah, that was a big incident. Very tricky to see from the cameras we were given us. We've now been given a full safety car now. Here we go. So the pack will be backed right back up, and it will give them all a chance to go fighting and racing once again, as it will level the playing field out. So any big gaps you see in the timing screens there. What is going on here, Adam? They're all backing each other up. It looks as though they can't. It looks like they're trying not to get a penalty on the Delta.
It's very, very strange here because it does look, yeah, they're seeing very, very close. A lot of front wingless cars there, including the AlphaTauri and the Ferrari. But yeah, Atton's been given a penalty for ignoring yellow flags. A lot of penalties have been given out. If we switch to the front leaders, some of them are coming into the pits here. So a lot of the drivers deciding to jump into the pits. Alfa Romeo having to double stack, and they'll be going on to the C2 medium compound tire. Sorry, the C4 medium compound tire. Williams also having to double stack, and my goodness, this is a hectic lap. We're actually under a calm speed according to the FIA stewards there. But what a mad lap we've had of I wouldn't say racing, but of just controlled action, I don't really know what to kind of describe it as, because cars were going slowly, drivers into the pits, double stacking, and we have really got an interesting race on our hands. There's a lot of medium compound runners now out on the circuit, and they're going to be fresh. So that is going to be flipping the table here. Really just changing the dynamic as we know it at this moment in time. But we now have to see who gets onto the back of that safety car, and can everybody get onto the back of that safety car, because it looks like it's going to be out for quite a couple of laps here, just trying to get everyone to the back of this train. And Blade and Corey very much escaping it scot-free.
Yeah, I don't quite know where to look at the moment, because everywhere you look, yeah, like you say, it's calmed down in a sense of, you know, they're all under safety car speeds, they're at a slowed pace, but I tell you what, it's less than calm, because there is absolute carnage and chaos everywhere you look. I don't really know where to point the camera at the moment, so we'll just leave it with the guys behind the safety car at present, and I'm sure we can describe the action to you as best we can, but we are waiting for everyone to back up. But Conts, though, got very much held up by the two Williams there in the pit lane as they double stacked, and Welsh Jack blocking the exit for the AlphaTauri man, so he just had to sit and wait for Gibson to change his front wing and go back out. So we've had quite a lot of cars with damage, a lot of them changing their front wing. I noticed Gibson, he's up in 5th, he had to change it as I was on board with him at the time, but it looks as though a switch has been flipped, because everyone is now on a yellow medium, so the lights are on then for that. But we'll wait for this safety car to gather everyone up before we get going. I think it's going to be another lap at least, and then we'll get going under green flag conditions. They've already passed the second sector into the third, which is normally where it will get called, but the group is obviously not backed up yet. But good news is that nobody is out. We still have a full 20 grid. A 20 car grid, I should say, in this race, which is always good to see. It does mean then we'll get more action up and down, of course. So that's the good news in all of this, is that we haven't lost anybody. But of course, this race has been very much turned on its head. I'll tell you what I'm going to bring up right now. Who has been the biggest winner or loser in all of that? Because I tell you, there has been a lot of changes. Corey up 7 positions. Jack Imac as well up 7. Tech QB Gibson making 2 positions up then from the beginning. Blade's the only one that actually hasn't changed position in all of this. Nardo's up 6. Kont is managed to gain 13 positions in this Grand Prix so far. So he has been the biggest winner of all. But a lot of these guys have made quite a few positions, because the likes of Sousa, Delta, Civitz and Jordan have had a big misfortune, and they are all down at the back of this grid now. On to lap 8. We're a quarter of the way through, if my maths is correct. 4 times 8, is that 36? Or no, it's 32. Not quite there yet.
Don't worry, my commentary maths isn't great either. I've tested that out, and it's not great.
We're nearly at the quarter-way mark either way. So, yeah, there we are. Safety car will be in this lap. The pack is back together, and that means Blade will take control of the pace of the pack. It's up to him how fast he wants to go and when to make a charge down the tarmac. So we'll wait for that safety car. Once it does pop into the pits, it really is then up to Blade when he decides to go. But for the moment, he'll back them up nicely, and I'm sure he'll make the best chance of getting a getaway. Try and catch them napping if he can. But it does mean then, where they are backed up, you don't want to then go into your rival in front of you. I've done that mistake a couple of times before. Very frustrating. I think he's actually already gone. Through Rint Curve goes Blade. I don't think he caught Corey napping in all of that, because they do seem to be very much hot on it, right up against it. So yeah, not even a couple of temps gained for Blade. So no, everyone saw it coming, and they all go charging after the man in the Haas. And we then wait on the rise up to turn 3, I think, before we do get any potential action. But DRS disabled then at the moment, so this is all down to talent and skill. Who's the latest on the brakes, or who wants to use up a bit of their battery that they would have saved back up again under the safety car. I think Atom might be having a little look at it. He's made a move on Dom then further down the grid, moves up into 12th position. I don't think Dom's going to be very happy with that. He maybe try and might make a move back at him. he doesn't. He thinks better of, well, maybe he doesn't think better of it. I don't think he had the opportunity to make a move, but Rob Kelly then tucked up nicely behind Dom as well. He's going to try and stick with this group as best he can. Of course, you don't want to break any chains here in the train, because if you do and you're out of that DRS zone, you're going to be a sitting duck. So it'll be interesting to see who can hang on as best they can as we make our way through Rink Curve down towards turn number 10 as well, and across the start finish line. Who's that into the pits? It's Atom. He's got that drive through, hasn't he, that he has to serve.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a dent in his hopes of victory. He'll try and probably aim for points at this moment in time. Of course, on those C4 medium compound tyre, he now heads out of the pit lane here. But if we look back up at the top here, there goes Jack Imac up into P2, surpassing Corey already. I think Corey was just burning his energy recovery system all throughout that first lap. But just couldn't quite do anything. This is what I was going to talk about as the safety car went in, because of course, as Blade and Corey have not pitted. They're still on very old hard tyres, and those medium compound tyres are just charging after them. And the Red Bull of Jack Imac is probably in the best sort of position to go for the move here. Of course, Blade will be very defensive. He will do whatever he can to defend that P1 spot, but he'll have to come in. He'll need to serve that mandatory pit stop. If we look back to the battle for third place here, a DRS now gets enabled. JW Gibson is looking in towards turn number 1, so with the Red Bull, but nothing doing here. Now the DRS will come into play here. The flaps will open on those rear wings. The first to dart out will be JW Gibson here in his lovely blue Williams. He looks now around the outside of the Aston Martin. Meanwhile, Jack Imac up the inside of the house, and it looks like Blade just has no response to it. The black and white house now moves down a position, and here comes JW Gibson. Is he going to make a move? It's an accident. Oh, that's unbelievable. It looks like he just got turned debris flown across the track.
Safety
down
car
as well. Second safety car deployed, and that will calm things down. And Gibson and Corey, that was a bit of an unexpected crash, but it just seemed to be a straight T-bone accident. Corey is out, the Aston Martin with the wheel tether hanging off, and of course Gibson now have to limp home back to the pits to get a change of front wing.
That caught me completely by surprise. I was riding on board with Gibson as he was trying to make a move, and it was riding on board with the nose cone of his car. The next thing I see is a face full of barrier, and oh my word, it absolutely made me jump, I'll tell you that. But yeah, very interesting situation we have here now. Quite a lot of guys going back into the pits for a new set of what looks to be hard compound tyres. FG Jacob, Jobbo going on to the hards there. As I think maybe a couple of them, they've stuck another set of mediums on. So interesting strategies here now, because we are a third of the way in, 12 lap. Well, we're on lap 12, I should say, of 36. I can work that one out in my head quite nicely, actually. It's a very even, a nice number to work with. But yeah, now we're getting a split in the strategy. Some guys going onto the hard, a couple going onto the medium. I think those hard tyre users are probably planning to try and get it to the end of this Grand Prix now. But yeah, safety car once again, and we are under slowed conditions. But it does allow the likes of Sousa and Delta. They've managed to find their way back into the top 10. B Ford, Welsh Jack 5 and 6. Those are the guys, you know, Delta, B Ford, Welsh Jack. They are all fighting for the top spot of the championship at the moment. Dylan Baxter in amongst it as well, but he's a bit further down, P13. Of course, points are scored for the top 15 positions here in GRL. It's not the top 10, so it does go a bit further down than you would normally see in Formula 1, which does mean it gives you a little bit more of an incentive to fight for some positions a bit further down, as opposed to just following your rivals round and round and round, as you are fighting for position and points, of course. So it's not just about honour, it does help you in the championship as well. So yeah, it's shaping up though to be a very interesting, chaotic Grand Prix at the moment, Adam. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens when we go under green again.
Yeah, for sure it's going to be very, very interesting. With now Jack leading the way ahead of Tubi and Cons as well, in terms of who's made the most of everything here. Cons up 17 places. That is absolutely unbelievable, as well as Myverts in the other Red Bull in P14. He's gone up 14 positions, so already hitting double digits. But some of our biggest losers there, Blade down there in P11 because he's had to make that stop. He's now down by 10 places, but also BRT Jordan, so both Hasses with massive losses there, down at 12. Safety car will be in this lap, but also JW Gibson as well, down 12. But of course that big accident has changed his race around, so now have Jack get separated here from the safety car, and he will now lead the pack round first corner on towards turn 8 they go. You can already see him backing up the pack. It looks like Tech Tubi in that Alfa Romeo is very eager to try and get past that Oracle sponsored Red Bull car. Of course that car has also got the most successful driver around here, Max Verstappen, with 5 wins. Can they make it another Red Bull win around the Red Bull ring? Jack May gets us underway here at Spielberg here, ahead of the Alfa Romeo and in towards turn number 1. I think the Alfa was just burning a little bit of energy already in these early stages, trying to keep onto the back here of that Red Bull. They power their way now onto Ramus corner. There goes turn 2. Bye-bye turn 2. There goes Cons up looking defensive here from the Red Bull of Myvert, and hanging it around the outside. I thought it was going to be a wet cloth, just left on the outside to dry, but he's now going to switch it to the inside. Is it going to be late on the brakes? He's stuck his nose in. There's a little bit of rubbing, tyre face to side pod. I think that's going to leave a little bit of a mark there on the side of the car, but it looks like all is well and done. Lovely helicopter shot, a lovely cinematic of the cars following their way round turn 7 and on towards turn number 8. Myberts is just hassling and hounding the sister car, as Nardo also getting another 3-second time penalty. That wasn't the only one. He got one earlier in the race. It's just starting to go a little bit downhill there for him. But there goes Myverts looking up the inside, but just not being able to get through. Big snap there for Jack Mack, as he's now going to be feeling the pressure from behind.
Yeah, he certainly is. Oh no, here goes Myverts. He tried to have a look. Late move from Const defensively. I think they'll just about get away with it as it Constantinas into turn 3. The Williams there of Welsh Jack trying to get past B Ford. I think B Ford's managed to just fend him off as well for the time being. But Const able to defensively take it. No, never mind. Myverts goes for a little dive. That was a bit half cocked in my opinion. Almost could have caused a bit of an incident, but luckily nothing came of it. And of course last lap they did have a tiny coming together. I don't think they're going to worry about any paintwork falling off the car though, if you ask me, as we do get Dom, who's left the session. He'll try and get back in, I'm sure, as quickly as he can, not to lose as many positions, because of course the AI will be driving at a slightly slower rate than everybody else. But yeah, Myverts all over the rear of Cons, getting very big in his mirrors. DRS now enabled, so this will give Myverts the chance to get the move done a little bit easier. DRS activated, that'll give them a burst of energy as the little flap in the rear view wing there will open. It'll allow some extra air to fly through. It won't be as so draggy on the car. As yeah, we can see that. I think Dom dropping like a stone then, as the AI has taken over for him. We've got a few moves further down the field. I think Nardo trying to line one up on Rob Kelly. He goes down the inside at turn 4. Late on the brakes is Nardo. He's got the move done very successfully. Rob didn't really have an answer to it. He's not going to like that one. He may try and give it a little bit of a fight back through 6, but he's going to have to give it up. Of course, it's very tricky to overtake in these corners unless you are already side by side. So good move from Nardo then. He'll make up that place. He's now going to try and get onto the back of Blade, but Blade trying to now hunt down Souza, as they are all in this big train. Of course, DRS will be an activation for all of them, except Tecubu, who has taken the lead of this Grand Prix. When did that happen, Adam?
Well, that happened exactly a lap ago. A massive snap of oversteer from Jack Mack. And I had a little bit of a gasping moment there, because then the Alfa Romeo was able to go straight back past with the DRS first time round up the inside at Amos, and he managed to get the move done. But it looks like Jack Mack is now going to try and get revenge on this part here down towards Amos as BRT Jordan pulls into the pits and will retire from this session into a Schloss Gold on lap 17 of this Grand Prix. It has been very much pedal to the metal here, and head their way now through the sweeping corners, through the left and into another left of Verth corner, and now through turn 8, just trying to follow that Alfa Romeo, but Tech UB looks very, very quick at this moment in time, looking still back at Myverts, and I think that Red Bull is just at this moment in time feeling the pressure, but somebody who's now feeling even more pressure is Jack Mack, because he's been given a 3-second time penalty, and at the home of Red Bull, of course, Red Bull Ring, it makes sense. You thought that they would have a really good race here. They are. They're second and third, but a penalty for Jack Mack might destroy something, but he's going for the move here on Tech UB, round the outside, and he's managed to get it slowed down, or has he's just a little bit off that apex, but he's managed to get the exit here, and that is a superb move from the Red Bull. Let's see if we can hold it here for now on lap 18 of 36.
Yeah, it looks as though Tech UB's tucked back up and under his slipstream for the time being. I think maybe trading places isn't the worst strategy, in all honesty, as it will now enable him to save the battery. As we do witness Welsh Jack and B Ford going side by side, the two championship rivals. They're going side by side, still through 7 and 8. The Wirtz corner now coming up to Rint. Welsh Jack pulls a little bit ahead then of B Ford. I think Welsh Jack trying to defend this position from B Ford, doing so very well indeed for the time being. He'll hang on to P5, but B Ford not giving this up as of yet. Jack trying to break. Oh god, I'm getting all my words mixed up. He's trying to break the slipstream up from B4 behind, but he's going to have to look into his wing mirrors as he's got Blade keeping in company. He's less than a tenth behind that Mercedes. Will we see a move into turn 3? He's late on the brakes, almost clipping the rear of that Mercedes, but he's going to try and give him the up and under on the exit. He's got good traction out of turn 3 down towards turn 4. Could this be a double move for Blade? It may even be 3, as he almost got up the inside of Myverts. Not quite, but just like that, Blade goes from 7th up to 5th in the matter of a couple of corners. Brilliant driving and overtaking from these guys. Absolutely fantastic to see, keeping it all well within the limits of the rules, and Blade putting on an absolutely sensational performance for us. I don't think he's done. He's trying to line up Myverts now into Rint corner. Again, less than just a few tenths between these guys. Kont's doing well to hang on to that final podium spot for the time being. He just has to be cautious not to drop out of that DRS zone as they make their way up to the louder curve of turn 1. He is just about hanging on for the moment, is Kontz. Now let's watch Blade Office. Apologies everybody. He's going to try and take it around the outside though of Myverts. Not easy to do. Maybe go for the up and under, but no, they've made contact. There's still contact. They're side. They're round. Who's that round? It was no, he's gone. It's Myverts. He's down. He's dropped it out. He's gone round over the front of Blade, and that's spelled disaster for him.
Oh, it really has. I just saw that move. It looked like it was on until, of course, the Red Bull went out wide. The Haas went out wide, and unfortunately, we've had more spinners here. That's BRT Jobo in the gravel. Welsh Jack has gone down the field, and also Delta had a spin a couple of laps ago. Silverton's also gone, so carnage at the exit of turn 4. But meanwhile, up at the top of the top end of the field here, Tech UB is really just hunting down those laps, just trying to build that advantage as much as possible. He will be aware of Jack Mack's penalty on his relative as he heads in towards the Niki Lauda curve for the 21st time of this Grand Prix. If you're just joining us, welcome to round 5 of the Grand Effect Racing League Division 1, and it's some absolutely scintillating battles here. It's an absolutely sizzling race that is bound to boil over, and it has for a couple of our drivers. Tech UB still leads this race. He has been doing it for a couple of laps already, but Jack Mack is currently right behind him here. but with a 3-second time penalty for track limits for the Red Bull. And looking behind him, there is Const, there is Blade, and they're having a battle for the final step on the podium. Dylan Baxter also there in the Alpine, just trying to gather some more points ahead of RM Beeford in the Mercedes, one of the most successful teams, or sorry, the successful team. The most successful team around the Red Bull Ring, with 6 wins to their name, and it will be absolutely magic if RM Beeford could pull off another one. He is very, very fast, but into the pit lane here we have Mr. Const in the Alpha Tauri. So it looks like he is coming in, and I think he's going to go onto a set of medium compound tyres. He's gotten himself out of the queue here of cars into some fresh air. Now he can just power down the laps. We now look back up to the front here. There goes Jack Mack around the outside here of Tech UB, and I wonder if the Alfa Romeo can get that slipstream down towards turn number 4. He's going to look to the inside, but no can do. And it looks like we're also in a quartet battle here. It is Jack Mack, Tech UB, Blade, Baxter. This is absolutely boiling to the point of 1,000 degrees, melting point. But I'm sure our drivers are going to be ice cold, cool in the car, like they're in an ice bath with no reaction. Into the pits comes Jack Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, cool. He's going to try and, I think, cover off Const, who has actually just picked up a 3-second time penalty, has he? That's huge for him, because now I think not Jack Imac, he's obviously trying to cover him off, but I think Tech UB may even breathe another sigh of relief, but he won't really, because as we say that, he's got Blade to keep him company, as well as the big gaggle behind him. He's doing very well under the pressure at the moment. He's keeping his cool, like you say, but it is very much getting to boiling point. I'm just waiting for it to bubble over, and we get an absolute amazing reaction as Blade then, with the DRS helping him along, takes the lead of this Grand Prix down towards turn 4. And I do want to say, Dylan Baxter, he's currently now in a podium position. He's been very quiet this whole race. They haven't really picked him up much, but he's kept his calm, he's kept his cool. He's just been banging in the lap times, and he is now in that podium spot, so he's doing incredibly well. I can see though the likes of B Forward Souza, they've managed to find their way back up the grid, 4th and 5th at the moment, followed by Gibson. That's a late call from was that Dylan Baxter into the pit? Who was that diving in very last second? It was Tech UB. Absolute latest call, I think you can really give that. I think the rules dictated this week that that is okay, but yeah, really left it as late as possible. He's gone for the soft compound tyre. Interesting strategy call then, I wonder. Will that get him? It will definitely get him to the end of the Grand Prix, but I think anyone maybe on that medium compound. Jack Imac, Const doing so. Rob Kelly has also come into the pits and put on that medium tyre as well. Will that soft last them to the end of this Grand Prix? That's going to be the big question, I think, looming over the heads of these drivers as we are on lap 24. I think we're now getting into that pit stop phase, aren't we, Adam? As things begin to sort of settle down, as a couple of drivers sort of pit in, pit out, and then we get that little bit of a gap between the guys left on the track. So just a little bit of a lull in the action here for just the time being. I'm sure we'll get a big burst of it and a flurry of it in just a few short moments, because Austria, there goes Delta, he's round again. He's just gone out of the exit of turn 7 onto 8, and he's gone way off left into the gravel. Const was right up behind him. I could see that, and that's why I darted to them on screen, as that's a DNF from Nardo. What's happened there with Nardo?
He's come into the pit lane here, so I'm not entirely sure if he's run out of tyres or something, but it does look like he's come into the pits. Meanwhile, Sosa has come into the pits as well. He's gone on to the Red Walled C5 soft compound tyre, and he's already under pressure here from Rob Kelly, who looks to try and pull his way to the right hand side, but that was a very late defend, I think, as Sousa was trying to attack Welsh Jack there in the Williams. So those two are going to start battling it out. Of course, those soft tyres are going to need to get a little bit up to temperature here, but already around the outside. In fact, it was Welsh Jack just pulling to the right, trying to defend, but the overspeed from Sousa was just sublime. The Alpha Tauri blasts its way up to 12th place here And of course, it's just going to be at the back end of the point. But he's very much in a position to maybe win this race. Looking at the top of the standings here, you will see a pit stop probably from RMB, for maybe from Blade or Baxter or Gibson. But they've kind of run out of time here. And speaking of Gibson here, I think he's now going for a move here on RMB, and he has done the Williams up into third place. Meanwhile, Baxter has actually got past Blade here. So it looks like these top three guys on 14 lap old tires really starting to battle it out here, and it just makes you wonder what is going to happen with the likes of Tech QB and Sosa, who have made that early pit stop, decided to come in for a set of soft tires. But also you can't forget about Contu, who's also pitted, and Jack Mack as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what the best strategy is to do at this moment in time, because if you do decide to stay out on those medium tires, they're going to be very much warm by the end. I just wonder every single time you go around this circuit, have they missed that opportunity? Do they think they're going to be able to make it to the end with some big points in hand, or are they going to suffer right at that last stage, like we saw the intermediates in the sprint race? And then, of course, we've got those soft tires there. Down the inside goes Blade. So he is now back up into the race lead. But tire talk is really starting to come onto mind here.
Yeah, tyre talk is definitely the thing on the forefront of mine. I can tell you that, because we are somewhat getting, I think, a bit of a repeat of what happened in that sprint, as you said, because these guys that are sticking it out on these medium tyres, and the man I'm very curious about here is B4. 21 laps he has been on that medium compound. I can't imagine he will get that to the end without absolutely blistering them all over, struggling for every corner. So I think this is really his chance where he needs to pit in now, otherwise that window you were talking about may just have disappeared. But he's still going round then, is B Ford. He's trying to hang on to the back of these guys that have got 6 lap younger tyres. So for the moment it's looking a-okay, but as the laps tick by, the rubber's going to burn off of the wheels, and they're going to get slower as a result of it, because they won't have any grip left to push the car around the circuit. So it is going to be interesting how this plays out. You have got, you know, Conts, TechQB, Jack, iMac, Sousa even. I think even now at this point you could even argue Rob Kelly is maybe trying to get in on some of that action, as he also made that pit stop as well. Are they going to come screaming through the field, or are we going to see the boys out front kicking and screaming relentlessly, not giving up that little bag of sweets that Timmy wants from the shops? But at the moment we'll have to wait and see, because they aren't onto the back of them just yet. But yeah, I think that window has very much gone for these guys. They're in this for the long haul. We've only got 8 laps remaining once we get to that start finish line, as things have begun to settle down somewhat. Baxter and Blade trading positions, it seems, lap after lap, or I think it seems that way almost. But yeah, these guys that have pitted, they are making their way through the back lot of the older compounder tyres. Conts up into P7, and I'm looking at the gap then really between them. You haven't got much of a gap. What's it, about 11-12 seconds would you say from the leader at that moment, if my maths is on point, Adam?
In terms of the gap between our race leader and Tech QB, it is about 9.5 seconds. So that's going to be a lot to try and chase down in those remaining laps. I think those medium tyres are going to have to really start going off now if Tech QB is going to have any sort of opportunity. But I'm going to have a look here down the battle for 7th between Cons and Tech QB, because I just wonder what the tyre difference is like between those 7-lap old medium compound tyres and a fresh set of soft compounds. So running on board here with Tech QB as he heads his way through first corner and on towards turn number 9. They'll rise over the crest and head back down. Sousa with a 3-second time penalty, so that will not help his cause. It's all about how quickly can that Alfa Romeo go and dispatch that Alpha Tauri, and I think he's going to be doing it maybe on the next straight here, because it'll be very much that would not be the best idea to overtake into Nicky Lauda curve. Now he can go and get the exit off the Nicky Lauda curve and fly past the AlphaTauri, and that is a really, really good move there. They head on toward the hairpin, and that is the other AlphaTauri, Sousa, going up the inside of Jack Mack, but just squeezing him out, and now Rob Kelly's going to get an opportunity here down in towards the fourth corner. He's got the inside line. Is he going to outbrake him? And he does, in fact. But can the Red Bull now try and get the traction? The red flashing light, harvesting that energy on both cars, seemingly from the Mercedes and the Red Bull. And it is going to be the Mercedes ahead of the Bull.
It is that little red light then. They're down on power. They are trying to save as much battery as they can. I think that indicates around about less than 12% in the battery remaining. But moving back up to the front, we've still got this train of cars all behind the leader. It's gone back into the favour of Dylan Baxter once again. So top 5 for you, all battling it out in theory. As Blade here, he's going to mount an attack round the outside of Dylan Baxter up towards turn number 3. And I don't think the Alpine driver is going to be fighting it too hard. They all know, they all realise that they've got a gaggle of cars on fresh tyres chasing them down, hunting them at every corner of this circuit as they will eat into that gap that they have between them. Tecubi though, 2.4 behind Atom. And I think the gaps, it's still coming down, but it's coming down a little bit slower now. So I think it's starting to ease off a little bit, as that's a yellow flag in Sector 1. What's that all for there? It looks as though the Ferrari going a little bit slow. I think maybe that could have been Sivertson, as Jacob is very firmly tucked up in the battle here at the front. B Ford, 26 laps he's about to have done on that medium tyre, and he's still going strong in the battle for this lead. Absolutely insane number of laps. He's got 4 to go. Can this lot hang on? Including, I think Atom is in that shout as well. He's obviously in 6th, just off the back of this group, so he's not getting any help or assistance from this little train and gaggle, so he will be a sitting duck once the likes of Tecubi catch up. The gap is 1.4 seconds between him and Tecubi, as Rob Kelly there making a move on Kont as he drops down into P10. And Sousa got back pass as well in all of that somewhere as well. But this is the battle I'm interested in that's about to happen. It's going to be Tecubi riding up to the back of Atom's Alpine. And, well, I don't think it's going to be a very much contested position between these two. I'm sure Tecubi will absolutely snap him up and take that position away from him. It won't be no love lost, of course, because Tecubi will be, of course, trying to chase after the leaders of this Grand Prix. But time is ticking. The laps are running out, and Tecubi will need to make this move as soon as he gets to the back of Atom if he has any chance of chasing the lead of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, he has been closing the gap lap after lap after lap on the leaders. That's now less than 6 seconds. I think there's a safety car, and that is a very late safety storm on the exit of turn 5 now. And that is going to be very, very interesting. I think if you're one of the top 5 guys, you're going to have to stay position, stand in position here. There's no point in pitting. You'll just lose a bit of time there, probably about 12 seconds under a safety car condition. That would push you all the way down outside the top 10. So there's no point in just making that pit stop at this moment in time. But it just gives a last gasp opportunity. If you're down in that bottom in that bottom group, like Silverstone and Delta are doing, they've just come in for a set of soft tyres. They already know what they're going to do. Now we just need to keep an eye on these drivers, and Blade's going to risk it, or does he? It looks like he is. He is going to risk it. This is absolutely massive. This is absolutely game-changing. They're all following him. They're all following in. And I'm not entirely sure they realise the gap. Of course, they might have no idea. They might find themselves right in the back of it. You're right, the whole grid is in. This is unbelievable. Lap 34 of the race, and it's about who has the freshest tyres. Well done for noticing, because I was too focused on that top 5 and what this can mean. But in fact, everybody's now in. Everyone's changing onto the soft tires, and just look at your tire panel. It is just blood red all the way down that tire column. We are in for an absolute bombshell of a Grand Slam finish. This could be some of the best racing you've seen, or some of the most aggressive, because the aggression is seriously going to start rising now. Positions, points, championship points, constructors championship points. It is all on the line here, and we could be getting a notification in the next couple of seconds about that safety car, and there you go. It's like I made a command. We're going to have 2 racing laps here at the Red Bull Ring to decide a winner, a top 3 points paying positions. This is going to be some of the most frantic racing you will watch this week, month, possibly even year. It is all coming down to the wire now. The drivers are very much fired up on their brand spanking new soft compound tire. Blade jumps the gun here. Dylan Baxter following pursuit, and it's going to be Aaron Beeford rounding out that podium spot. We go green, green, green. We go racing here at Spielberg, and on the way to the Niki Lauda curve for the 35th time of this race. Blade is holding station for now, as Baxter now looks to try and do something about trying to take that lead away. He's absolutely abusing the ERS down in towards Glamour's corner, but he has to say that for that last lap is going to be all and out. Hell for leather throughout this last lap, and my goodness me, Beef is trying to do something as well as Gibson. There is a FGE Jacob down there in 5th place, as well as Techie B. Techie B's under attack here from Suter. The Portuguese driver is going to slither his way up the inside, and the navy and white Alpha Tower with the Orlen sponsor is going to now overtake there and up another position, and extra points there for the Scuderia Toro. The former Scuderia Toro Rosso. Don't know what I'm saying there. The Faenza base team. That is unbelievable stuff.
It all comes down to this. Yeah. Final lap, here we go, across the line they are to start lap 36 of 36. This is now going to be the biting end of this Grand Prix. We've got 1 lap remaining. Blade is leading it at the moment. Dylan Baxter, though, is going to be trying his best to try and get the move into turn 3 or maybe even 4, as there appears to be a bit of a gap forming behind between him and B Ford. Gibson trying to fend off the Ferrari of Jacob as best he can. This may have enabled Sousa, though, to have a little look up the inside. He's going to be using all of the battery and then some if he can. It's not going to be enough, I don't think. A lot of these guys, they've all got full batteries to enable them to defend. I wonder if we'll see any last-minute lunges in through these final few curves. Who's going to be Moses parting the Red Sea of these colour of compound of tyres? Or will it just end up like this as we see it? 2 corners to go through Rint Curve. They fire the cars into the final corner now. Blade's going to take the win of this Grand Prix. Dylan Baxter second, B Ford third across the line. I don't think we've had any position changes. Of course, penalties permitting, that will shift it around a little bit. And there they are across the line to finish this magnificent Grand Prix that we have witnessed. What a chaotic one it has been. And yeah, I can't believe how it ended, honestly. That last minute safety car absolutely shook things up, and I can't believe we saw the entire grid come into pit for that tyre. It would have been nice to maybe have seen one stay out and risk it all, but either way, nonetheless, what a brilliant, fantastic performance from your Grand Prix winner, Blade, in his Haas. He'll be very happy. Pole position and converted it as well through what was the most chaotic race I think I have ever had the pleasure of commentating over. I don't know about you, Adam, but yeah, what a fantastic one that was.
Oh, that's definitely going into one of my crazy races lists. I couldn't believe the minute we got that safety car, the alerts were very much up, but the celebration start and the team from the US celebrate on the podium. along with the Alpine and the Mercedes. What an emphatic race we've had here. And we'll move on to the next round of the championship. But of course, we do have the interviews, which we'll bring you in just a moment's time.
We certainly will. I'm just looking at the result end screen there. Actually, Dylan Baxter started 11th, B Ford 14th, and Jacob 17th, and they've ended up 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in all of that. So what an absolute topsy-turvy race it has been. Atom there 19th, all the way up to 6th as well. So yeah, really are seeing a big flip from start to finish. And yeah, we'll try and get you some of those interviews now. Blade, Dylan, and B Ford. Got to try and figure out who to invite here. And I'm also trying to think to myself, what sort of questions are we going to ask these boys? Because it has been such a race that I don't really know what pinpoints out, what strikes me as a big talking point. Because to me, that entire race was a talking point. It really was, action up and down wherever you looked at it. So it will be interesting to try and get some information from these guys. Oh, what a race that was. See if we can get some guys in here. I know this is always the fun bit that Dara has to do after the race, and so it can be it's always interesting to try and get these guys into a party, if it is at all possible. I know they have Xbox accounts. It's a case of me not having them on Xbox. If you're able to help me out here, if you're able to help me out here, that would be absolutely fantastic. Try and get some of these guys in.
Yeah. I'll do my best. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Here we are, B Ford. Let me invite. I believe Blade, we won't be able to get into the party. I'll tell you what I will do though for that instead is I can try and get a one-liner from him over Discord, if at all possible, on his take of that Grand Prix. Of course, he was your winner here this evening. Started on the front row as well, and I would love to say he had control of the race from start to finish. But in all honesty, I don't think anyone had a good control of that race because it was so hectic and chaotic the way it flowed and ebbed. That yeah, it was. I think you were very much happy if you finished in the top 10, of course. Let's see if I can find him here. Struggling here actually. I don't think I am able to find him. I tell whilst I try and get a couple more of these guys in this lobby, Adam, you can maybe do the honours of asking B Ford, our podium sitter, third position of course, and very well earned third position. Maybe you can ask a question for him.
Yeah, I'll do my best. So welcome, Beeford. That was an absolutely scintillating race. But let me just start with what was going through your mind throughout that entire race, especially like the middle section of that race.
I was sort of on and ahhing about whether to do a second pit stop or not. So it was like I was on the cusp, and I just thought it was. I think Jack had pit, and someone else behind me had pit, and a few in front had pit, and I was just thinking it's too far gone. They're going to get me like 5 seconds ahead of me, so I just thought screw it, I'll just go for it. And I think even without a safety car, I think I would have just about made it without a puncture.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to go into its puncture territory, but especially when we got into that last safety car section. Do you think that was a bit of an alert that sprung into you, or do you think that was kind of just a stay calm moment?
What if the safety car came out?
Yes.
Yeah, I straight away I was going to the soft. There was no question in my mind, no matter what everyone else did, just in case. So yeah, yeah.
So definitely. Yeah, so definitely it seemed like that everyone decided to come in. Were you expecting everyone to come in, or do you think there was a couple of guys going to stay out?
I'd have been shocked if anyone stayed out, to be quite honest.
So it's going to be France next on the calendar, round 6 of the championship. Do you feel confident going into that race, or do you feel like you need a little bit more practice before you head into the next week?
I mean, France isn't one of my best tracks, but no matter the track, I always do my best in the race and usually race well. So I'll pick up what I can, and I might better pick up some pace there before then.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We wish you the very best of luck for the French Grand Prix next time around. So thank you so much. We'll move on to Blade, but what an incredible race you had. Our winner, I believe, of the Austrian Grand Prix, and my goodness me, how are you feeling about that one? That crucial points for you, or it's just another race? I can assure you, it wasn't.
There you go. Um, yeah, it was a good race. Was pretty happy. So I think things haven't gone too well recently. So you know, I'll take a win whenever I can get it.
So you feel like a stone has kind of been turned in terms of luck here, or do you think there's still more stones that need to be overturned?
Well, I don't know. It's pretty hard. I'm not a fortune teller, unfortunately, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it would be nice if my luck gets better, or well, either that or I stop having skill issues. But you know, I think I'm pretty good at Austria, so obviously I think that played a big part as well. So yeah, obviously we'll see how it goes in the next couple of races, and yeah, hopefully more results like this.
Yeah, I definitely think you will. You'll need some of those. But I just wanted to kind of ask, how did you stay calm in those situations where you had cars either side of you? It was just unbelievable to watch here in the commentary box.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone was lagging everywhere. I think it was me, so I wasn't calm at all. But you know, I made it through. So that's yeah, just leave enough space and hope for the best, really, because they're on older tires. They got less grip. You don't know when they're going to understeer into you or something like that. So you got to trust in other drivers as well. And obviously, sometimes that doesn't go well, but you know, it is what it is. And it worked out for me this time. So.
Just before I let you go, do you think that this win has brought a little bit of confidence behind the wheel? Do you think there's going to be some practice before you go to the French Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think it's definitely given me some confidence because the bad results recently kind of made me think, am I really any good anymore? But yeah, I think going into France, obviously more confidence, and also France is probably one of my best tracks as well. So hopefully things things go better there,
Thank you very
or
much for your
well,
time.
better than now. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. But we'll now move on to Dylan. Dylan, that was a scintillating battle. You're right in the midst of it, going into the final couple of laps.
Yeah, I think if there wasn't a safety car, I might have been able to get him because I I had quite a bit more straight line speed, and also the DRS. I think I would have been able to hold him up if I was able to get past. But then he was just too quick in the middle sector, so when there was no DRS, I just couldn't. I wasn't able to get close enough.
Yeah, I'm guessing the tires were starting to go a little bit off. It did seem like that was kind of the case. Do you really start to feel that in the car just before that final safety car came out?
Yeah, no, the tires weren't great, but I they weren't so bad that I thought I would have had to pit. I would definitely wait to the end. I knew Blade pit the exact same lap, so his tires would have been the same as well. So I was
Yeah.
disappointed the safety car came out.
And how did you feel about approaching that last two laps? That was very frantic stuff. Were you looking in front, or were you just looking behind, just trying to hold position, or what were you thinking in those moments?
At first, I was worried because Ben was behind me. He's pretty quick, but then I was able to kind of leave him behind. So I was just trying to get close to Delta. I was really just focusing on him the whole time.
And for just one final question, so of course, like we've been saying, it is the French Grand Prix, but do you think this is going to bring a bit of a spring in your step, or is there still some practice needing to do behind the scenes for next week?
I think I'll be good next week. I think I've had pace for a decent bit of the season, just not had the luck sometimes. But I won France last year, so I'm pretty confident going into this one. I'll do
Well,
the
we
same.
wish all. My apologies.
No, that's fine. It's fine. You go.
Well, thank you so much for to our top three. You've been absolutely brilliant, putting on a fantastic show for us. And of course, we'll round it off with Ashley. Ashley, what an incredible race we've had. All three of our drivers have been absolutely they've been brilliant. They've been really on their game this race.
Yeah, you have. You've all been on top form, and it's been an absolute magnificent race to watch. Of course, with you three, but and the rest of the grid as well. So, all I'll say then to finish off, as we let the sound of the cars drift away from the mountains of the Austrian Grand Prix. Next week, we will head to France for round 6 then of GRL here in Division 1, the 19th of February. Mark it on your calendars. It will be same time, 8 p.m. GMT. I hope you've all very much enjoyed this evening. Thank you very much, Adam, for joining me here in the commentary box. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's a goodbye from me, it's a goodbye from everybody, and we'll see you in 1 week's time for the French Grand Prix.